Hello YouTube, my name's Ryan. I'm going to be making a video series on Kerbal Space Program. I'm not going to lie, I haven't done this before. Actually, I've done it 4 times. I've just screwed it up each time. And the last 4 times I've tried to do this, I totally screwed up. So let's see if this one works. I'm going to try to start a new game for the 4th time. And we're going to call it Realism because I'm actually playing with the Realism Overhaul mod. Let's change our difficulty options, and I think moderate's actually a good fit because I don't like the idea that our Kerbals will just respawn if they die. And I do kind of like the difficulty that's provided by the entry purchase on our research things. This should be enough money to start with, so I'm just going to go with this guy. Now the first thing we're going to notice is we need to set up our Kerbal construction time settings. There's one for the realistic progression mod that we need to select. So that's right here. We're going to choose the RP0 preset, save that, and this guy we can close, that we can close. Now, I was confused actually whenever I first started playing this about what these upgrades were. In short, the more we upgrade these facilities, the faster they'll work. I'm going to go ahead and put like 6 points towards R&D, and that'll mean that I'll research, let's see, 15.5 science points a year. So if something costs 15 points, it's going to take me just about a year to research it. And the VAB, we're just going to load this guy up because I'm going to be building rockets. If I was building planes, I'd invest more here, but I like shooting stuff into space. Let's close that. All right, now we got our game pretty much set up. Let's take a look at what contracts we have. We have first flight and pass the Karman line. So we'll go ahead and accept those. They'll give us a little bit of cash in advance. But for the rocket we're going to be building, we probably won't need it. So let's go to the VAB. And let's see what kind of parts we have. I'm just going to be focusing on using procedural parts. There's some mods. I actually have some installed, like FASA, that give you real-life spacecraft. But I kind of like building my own. So we're going to start with this guidance unit and strap a fuel tank onto it. We're also going to use one as a nose cone. So we can change the shape of this guy to smooth cone and bring the top down. I think this guidance unit is 0.3 meters. And let's see what looks good. Yeah, that's probably good. 0.4 in length. Something interesting, I saw that they had in the aerodynamics section an actual nose cone part, but if I recall, it's actually heavier than just building a fuel tank. So let's see, 0.3, and I think we had this as 0.4 before, right? 3. So if we see we're at 0.061 tons. Actually, we can right click on this guy and it shows us this guy's weight is less than a kilogram, and this guy over here is over a kilogram. So same size, but we're going to ditch this guy and use this. Let's bring this down to 0.3, and let's see what engines we have. The Aerobee. Now you can see I'm using test flight, and we can get some information about how long this engine is rated for. It says 50 seconds, so once we fuel up this tank, we're going to see what we can do to give us a 50-second burn time. 2.1 meters looks like it does it. And now we're going to put on some aerodynamic fins. So once again, I'm going to use the procedural parts. We've got the B9 procedural wing. And this guy is actually really huge, but we can resize him. So we'll do tri-symmetry, and so
I'm going to find out I didn't have angle snap turned on, and that's why I had so many issues with this.
One thing I noticed is these bottom sides are black. We can change that if we hit J. We'll get this cool little menu, and we have surface bottom. We can change material to standard. Awesome. Now, these leading and trailing edges are going to be kind of huge for the small fins we want to put on this, so we can change the size of these. 0.8. We'll do the trailing edge as 0.8. And now let's go ahead and take our whole fin and just bring it down. This gives us something a little bit more manageable to edit with. Now we can use the T, G, and B keys also to modify this. Let's see if I can't line this up better now that it's off. Oh, you know what? There we go. Sometimes hitting C and making sure that your angle snap is on helps a lot. T, if we hold down T and move our mouse around, it actually adjusts the tip of the wing. B does the base, and G does in between. So I'm going to adjust my tip down. Make this guy pretty much come to a point. And our base, we want a lot smaller. Something like that looks good. And then we'll hold down G and bring this whole wing in. It's looking a lot more realistic. Let's check our thickness. Adjust the base, make it a little bit thicker maybe. That's probably good. And now let's go ahead and move this whole wing down. So 2 to go to offset, C to turn off angle snap, otherwise it goes crazy. Drag this thing down. Adjust this so it's a little bit flatter. Alright. We can actually fill these up with fuel, but I don't think it's necessary. We already got our 50-second burn time. And we're going to make this look a little bit cooler. Yeah, German stripes, why not? Do the same for our nose cone. That looks pretty realistic. Now let's go ahead and find a decoupler. Actually, I think you're looking for a launch stability enhancer, because otherwise this thing is just going to fall over on the launch pad. Where is it? Under structural, I think. And launch stability enhancer. Put this right here. And we don't need 3. This thing is it's not too heavy. Alright. Now, instead of this thing just being hanging up in the air, let's actually bring him down. Alright, I think that's all set up. All it needs is a name. I'm going to be cheap and just call it Alpha. Save this, and let's build it. Now normally, if you weren't playing with any mods, you would just go straight to the launch pad, but now we're using Kerbal construction time, so we need to say build. And at our 0.6 build points a second, that's going to take 10 days. Alright. Let's go ahead and warp to completion. And not only do we need to do that, we also need to roll it out to the launch pad. So clicking VAB, we can see it's going to take almost 2 hours to roll out to the launch pad. And since recording flights at nighttime is kind of boring, we're going to time accelerate to the morning. That should be good. Let's launch this thing. If you want to know what mod I use to give you those instant launch times, it's called iMovie. Alright, some things I kind of like to do is MechJeb actually has a flight recorder that I found. So I'll turn on altitude, acceleration, surface speed, and Q, which is dynamic pressure. Kind of gives us an idea of what's going on. I think we're ready to launch. So let's actually, I want to turn off these void HUD. A lot of people like it, but I never really got into using it. Alright, let's rock and roll. And immediately we get some science, telemetry analysis. We'll send this back. Now I've noticed a bug. Sometimes I don't actually get the credit for the data it sends. I need to do it again, so we'll see if I run into it this time or not. Hopefully not. It's a big pain, because a lot of times you'll be in a biome for real quick, you'll collect your science, send it. By the time it sends, you're out of the biome, and you don't get the credit for it. So there's a bug going on somewhere. I read it in some of the threads. Okay, this time I got it good. I read in some threads that I know Science Alert, which is this mod that I use, there is a patch for it that's supposed to let you transmit the science better. I've applied that, but it still doesn't always work, so hopefully we can get a real fix out for 1.1. Alright, we get our, notice here our dip in our acceleration. It's actually, I think, Mach effects. As we do other launches, you'll see right when we're hitting around Mach 1, that's when that dips down. That was driving me crazy for a while. I didn't know why I was losing acceleration. dig down, we can see there's our launch pad. Here's Florida. We can almost see the end of Florida. Bahamas should be over here. Quality's not very good that we can see them yet. I think it's right over here. The Gulf over there. Of course, our rocket's burning up in the atmosphere. I don't know how realistic that is. Engine cuts out and not going to quite make it to the Karman line, but I think there's a few things we can modify this with that might get us there. I think we can get some high altitude science once we hit 50 kilometers. We're going pretty vertical. I don't know if we're going to get into any other biomes, so let's just time accelerate. And here we go. More analysis. 2 science points. Let's see if it gives us credit for this. Now we can see more of the Gulf. Bahamas are clearly in view over here. It's kind of cool. Seeing realistic features. And of course we didn't get our science. You can see no green line and this pops up again. So do it again. Hopefully someone can provide a fix. In the meantime, 11 messages. We got some altitude records. Got some speed records. We did our first flight contract, and we actually get one whenever we build our vessel. Got our science this time. Let's time accelerate. Start heading back towards the ground. I always think these graphs look pretty cool. You can see where our engine's cut out. G's dropped. More altitude records. And this is heading right back towards our space center. Probably miss. I'd be actually amazed if we went completely vertical. We actually get higher dynamic pressure on re-entry than we did during launch. I wonder if I could actually strap some parachutes to this thing and recover it. If we recover these vessels, it actually makes relaunching them a possibility, but I don't know. It's going to add some weight, and right now I'm just interested in breaking the Karman line, so I'm not going to go for that right now. Trying to think of future modifications. One thing we might be able to do is make these wings not as thick. There's some good litho braking. Let's go back to the Space Center and revise this guy. Alright, so open up the VAB. And what can we do? Well, we mentioned making these wings not as thick, so hold down B and that's better. Maybe the tip as well. Can we make them any thinner? That's as small as it gets. Now, really what's going to give us a good kick is this solid rocket booster, Tiny Tim. But we need to add a decoupler, so let's go to structural, I think. I can never remember where these things are. It gets even worse whenever you have more parts unlocked. This is with no research so far, and I can't figure out where things are. Bring this diameter down to 0.3 meters. And we can strap on Tiny Tim. We should actually probably bring this guy up, get some more clearance. Engines, there's our Tiny Tim. And we'll notice that it has a burn time of 0 seconds. It's going to give us nearly 40 Gs. So we can actually adjust our thrust limiter. Let's try to get around 5 Gs. Bring this down to 15? 5.13. Yeah, that's good. 4-second burn time. And let's actually add some wings to this. I like to alternate my wings. So this guy's pointing west. I'm going to have this wing pointing east. 3 of those. Alright, that looks legit, right? Let's adjust our staging. I can't tell you how many times I've had to revert a flight because I screwed up the staging. Like this would be bad. So let's do solid rocket motor, and then at the same time we'll do our launch clamps. And when we disengage, we will fire up our Aerobi engine. Alright, that looks a lot better. We'll call this the Alpha 2 for lack of a better idea. Actually, Alpha B. B for the second, B for the booster. I don't care what you want to use the B for. Save this. And is there anything else? I think that's it. Let's launch it. And build. It says another 10 days. Wait, did you just see that? It just changed to 11 days. What the heck? But we unlocked some science. So what can we do with that science? I think science in this game is more important than cash. I'll show you why now. We only have 3 science points. 10, 5, 10, 1. We can do that. Research this guy. Now the nice thing about researching this, not only will we get supersonic parts, and if we want to send people through the atmosphere, we can throw them in the X1 cockpit, but we can use that. Every time you unlock a science thing, you get an upgrade point. So now we can actually build things faster. Alright, now because science is so important, we're going to modify what we did and add some science equipment. So we can see VAB, this guy's building, but hey, what do you know? We can edit it. Alright, in the science tab, we have some experiments we can do. We got a thermometer, we got a barometer. This thing is huge compared to my rocket. I'm not going to try to stick any biosamples in there, especially since it really helps to recover them. And until I get some good parachute designs, I'm not going to worry about that. So strap a thermometer on here and a barometer. Now, if you ask me, this looks like garbage. So we're going to adjust this. I'm going to move these guys into the nose cone. My theory is, if this guy's empty, I can throw some scientific equipment in there. Put the barometer there. The thermometer, put on the other side. Let's rotate him so he looks a little bit cooler. And now we will offset them into the nose cone. I used to think this was cheating. You shouldn't be able to combine parts like this, but whenever I consider that this nose cone is empty, I'm fine with it. That looks somewhat legitimate. So let's save this, and we're actually going to say save edits. It's going to take 11 days now instead of 10. Whoop-de-doo. Alright, let's take a look at BAB, and we're going to warp to completion of this, and then warp to completion of the Alpha B. Reminds you of the Queen Bee, Alpha Male, Alpha B. We'll go ahead and roll him out. And if you want to see a night launch, then you're going to have to wait, because I'm going to fast forward to the day again. Alright. Let's go ahead and launch this thing. Alright, altitude, acceleration, surface speed, Q. And I think we're ready to launch. Double check your staging. Once again, I've screwed up so many flights because of that. And let's rock and roll. Ooh, immediately we get 2 more science things. Send these and stage. That was some pretty bad timing. Another temperature scan. Not sure why, but send it back. Vessel, that's wonderful. This guy's pitching over a little bit, going to the north, so we actually might get some new biomes. We won't get as high as if it was straight up, but this might actually help us get some more science, which will help us in the future. Look, already, what are we in? The shores. Wonderful. That was my rocket booster you just heard explode. Ooh, what do you know? This looks like we'll be past the Karman line. So I figured I'd spare you the monotony of watching me try to collect science over and over. There's still this bug where I'll hit transmit and I don't get the credit for it, so you can see me click it over and over. If someone's got a fix for that, please let me know. Oh my goodness. Oh, wait, this is new. Temperature scan. Grasslands. I'll take that. Clear these guys out. More money. Ooh, 40 grand. That is sweet. Maybe I should buy a car. I actually wouldn't mind the Model 3. I bet I can get a Model 3 for 40 grand. Too bad it's not out for like another 2 years. I was actually seeing that the people were complaining about their Tesla X's doors hitting things. Apparently they have these cameras over them that are supposed to prevent them from hitting things like concrete ceilings whenever you're in parking garages, and they have not been performing spectacularly. But I don't think the Model 3 has Falcon doors. I think it's just normal doors for us mere mortals who can't afford a super expensive car. Yeah, I wonder if that's actually legitimate. Like if I launch something up to near space, it's past the Karman line that we just did, are we really going to start throwing flames around the atmosphere? I know the speed that it does it here is like 1,000 meters a second, and I don't think that's changed from stock KSP, so I'm wondering if it's just an artifact from that. And how are we over the grasslands? It says over grasslands, but I'm pretty sure that this is water, so I don't know. Is it litho braking if you hit the water? Is that? I think that'd be hydro braking, right? Make sure we're destroying. Alright, let's go to the Space Center. And let's see what sort of things we can unlock. Alright, we got 13 science points. Amazing. We can unlock like one of these things. This guy's actually already done. If I click on him and say research, you're going to see that our science doesn't drop. If I click research, there we go. I think I'm going to go for orbital rocketry because this gives us some key engines. I like to use the HA-10 and the RD-103. That's really going to be probably what gets us into our first orbit. So we're going to research this. Alright, and next time we'll actually see about trying to get into space. Until then, I'm Ryan, and have a great night.